So we just had a lesson about whether you know that you're saved or not. And one of the things that follows up on that is, how do I know if I am hearing God? Or how can I hear the Word of God? We've got a couple of verses that tell about that. But first I want to point you back to a previous video where we talked about following Jesus and about putting to death, completely destroying the voluntary breaths of the soul, your opinions, your emotions, your plans, and in the process, finding your soul. Now, that has to do with our lesson today, which is the second step in this issue of salvation. The first one is, how do I know I'm saved? The second one is how to hear the Word of God. Now we find in Matthew 5, verse 8, I'm going to read to you from the rooted word on that. So Jesus said here in verse 8 of chapter 5 in Matthew, "Supremely blessed are the purged, clean ones in the heart, that they will stare at to discern God." And when we talk about hearing the Word of God, that's what we're talking about. Being able to discern God, whether by voice or by sight, by action. And this says, supremely blessed are the purged, clean ones in the heart, that they will stare at to discern God. So how can I know that I'm hearing the Word of God? By purging your heart. Purity of heart. You have to purge your heart. That's what that lesson was about. Putting to death the voluntary breaths of your soul, your opinions, your emotions, your plans, so that you will find your true soul in following Christ. Purging your heart. When you purge your heart of those things, which is very difficult, but when you purge your heart of those things, then you will discern God. So let's look at another place here in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. It says, "You must pursue and attend to peace amidst all. Also the terrifyingly clean purification, of which at a distance from, not even one will himself stare at to discern the Lord." So here's that same word of staring at to discern God. And it says that if you are at any distance from being terrifyingly clean, purified in that way, you will not be able to stare at to discern God. So both of these passages, both the author of Hebrews and Jesus in the gospel account in Matthew, declare emphatically that being purged in your heart, terrifyingly clean, is necessary in order to discern God. When you hear a voice from a disembodied spirit, how do you know it's God? Most people have never heard anything like that before, and when they first hear it in their life, they just automatically assume that it's God speaking to them and that God would protect them from hearing any kind of evil spirit. And yet, when you read the Bible, you find many instances of people hearing or being possessed with evil spirits. Why didn't God protect them? So you've got to be careful about that assumption. And John, in 1 John chapter 4, verse 1, he says, "Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to know whether they're from God," because not every spirit is from God. So a voice of a disembodied spirit is not necessarily from God. You've got to be careful. And the best way to protect yourself against being deceived by those is to purge your heart in that way that I said, that Jesus said. He said to completely destroy the voluntary breaths of the soul. And then you will find your soul if you do that because of Jesus. If you destroy those because of Jesus, you destroy your opinions, you destroy your emotions, you destroy your plans because of Jesus. And come follow him. Take up your instrument of execution of yourself, your cross, and come follow Jesus. And you will find your voluntary breaths of soul, your true soul, in Jesus. And then you will be able to stare at to discern God. May the Lord bless you as you seek him with all your heart.